The Club of Rome is one of the most influential and controversial think tanks in the world. Established in 1968, the organization was founded by a group of intellectuals, scientists, economists, and business leaders who were concerned about the future of humanity in the face of rising global challenges such as overpopulation, resource depletion, environmental degradation, and economic inequality. Over time, however, the Club of Rome has become the subject of various conspiracy theories, some of which claim that the organization has hidden agendas related to global control, depopulation, and a new world order. This essay will provide an overview of the Club of Rome's origins, its key projects, and its impact on global discourse, while also examining the conspiracy theories and controversies that have arisen around it. 1. Origins and mission of the Club of Rome. The Club of Rome was founded by Aurelio Pecchi, an Italian industrialist, and Alexander King, a Scottish scientist and former director of the United Nations Environment Programme. Pecchi, deeply concerned about the unchecked growth of human population and the unsustainable exploitation of the planet's resources, sought to create a forum for discussing the global challenges of the 20th century and beyond. The organization's initial goal was to address the issues of environmental degradation, economic instability, and the looming ecological crises, and to foster dialogue among key global leaders in science, business, and politics. The Club of Rome's membership is made up of a diverse group of people, including academics, government officials, corporate leaders, and former heads of state. The organization does not advocate for specific political ideologies, but rather promotes the idea of a more holistic and systems-based approach to addressing global problems. Its central theme has always been the need for long-term, sustainable solutions to the world's most pressing challenges. 2. The limits to growth and its legacy. The Club of Rome's most influential and controversial project was the publication of the Limits to Growth report in 1972. Commissioned by the club and conducted by a group of scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, the report used computer models to simulate the potential outcomes of different global growth scenarios. The key conclusion of the report was that if current trends in population growth, industrial expansion, resource consumption, and environmental degradation continued unchecked, the world would face serious economic, environmental, and social collapse within the 21st century. Limits to growth suggested that the planet's resources were finite, and that the pursuit of unlimited economic growth without regard for the environment would lead to a breakdown in the systems that sustain human life. The report's recommendations were to slow down economic growth, reduce population growth, and transition to a more sustainable and balanced relationship with the planet's natural resources. While the report was groundbreaking, it also sparked significant criticism, especially from economists and business leaders who were wary of its predictions of inevitable collapse. In the decades since its publication, Limits to Growth has remained a seminal work in the fields of environmental science and sustainability. However, its predictions of collapse have not come to pass in the way the report had envisioned. Critics argue that the model was overly pessimistic and failed to account for technological advancements that have allowed humanity to continue expanding its economies while mitigating some of the worst environmental impacts. Nonetheless, the Club of Rome's central message about the limits of growth and the need for sustainable development continues to resonate with many environmental activists and policymakers today. 3. The Club of Rome's impact on global discourse. The Club of Rome's influence extends far beyond its early years. Its work on limits to growth helped lay the intellectual groundwork for the modern environmental movement and contributed to the growing recognition of sustainability as a key global issue. The organization has been instrumental in bringing attention to the concept of planetary boundaries, the idea that there are critical thresholds beyond which the Earth's ecosystems will no longer be able to support human life. Throughout the years, the Club of Rome has produced numerous reports and research papers on a wide range of topics, including climate change, economic inequality, poverty, and the future of work. The organization has also been active in promoting the idea of a circular economy, in which resources are reused, recycled, and regenerated rather than consumed and discarded. The club has worked alongside international organizations like the United Nations and the World Bank to advocate for policies that promote sustainability, social equity, and environmental stewardship. However, the club's work has also faced criticism, particularly from those who oppose the idea of limits to growth. Critics argue that the organization's focus on population control, resource conservation, and reducing consumption can lead to economic stagnation and lower standards of living. Additionally, many have accused the club of advocating for policies that prioritize environmental concerns at the expense of human welfare, such as increased regulation, higher taxes, and restrictions on economic freedom. 4. Conspiracy theories and controversies. The Club of Rome's influence and its advocacy for global cooperation to address systemic issues have made it a frequent target of conspiracy theories. Some critics believe that the organization, which includes influential individuals from various sectors of society, is secretly working to establish a global authoritarian regime, control the world's resources, and reduce the global population through covert means. While these theories are often based on misinterpretations or exaggerations of the club's actual goals, they have nonetheless gained traction in some circles, particularly among anti-globalist and conspiracy theorist communities. Theories of depopulation and global control. One of the most persistent conspiracy theories surrounding the Club of Rome is the idea that the organization is part of a larger plan to control the world's population. The Limits to Growth report's emphasis on population control, along with its calls for reduced consumption and more sustainable resource management, has led some conspiracy theorists to claim that the club seeks to drastically reduce the global population through various means, including restrictions on family size, forced sterilizations, or even mass depopulation programs. This theory is rooted in a broader fear of global elites attempting to control the world's population and resources. In this view, the Club of Rome's call for sustainable development and population control is seen not as a solution to global problems, but as part of a larger plot to impose a global authoritarian government that would limit individual freedoms and force people into a more controlled, regulated existence. This fear of global control is often linked to the broader concept of the New World Order, a conspiracy theory that suggests powerful elites are secretly working to establish a one-world government. The role of the United Nations and other global institutions. Another aspect of the conspiracy theories surrounding the Club of Rome is its perceived connection to international organizations like the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, and the World Bank. Some critics argue that the club's promotion of sustainable development and its focus on global cooperation is a covert attempt to consolidate power in the hands of these international institutions, which would eventually override national sovereignty and lead to the establishment of a global government. The idea of a New World Order often includes the belief that organizations like the Club of Rome are working in tandem with the UN and other global institutions to dismantle traditional nation-states and impose a universal set of policies that prioritize global governance over national interests. Conspiracy theorists often point to the club's involvement in high-level international discussions on topics like climate change, economic development, and resource management as evidence that it is playing a key role in shaping a global political agenda. The Club of Rome and environmental alarmism. Some conspiracy theorists have also criticized the Club of Rome's environmental focus, claiming that its reports, including Limits to Growth, are part of an exaggerated narrative of environmental doom meant to push a global agenda of restrictions on industry, free markets, and individual freedoms. They argue that environmental alarmism, whether it concerns overpopulation, climate change, or resource depletion, is used as a tool to justify top-down global control. In this view, the club's push for sustainability and environmental responsibility is seen as a smokescreen for policies that would limit economic growth, restrict individual freedoms, and place greater power in the hands of global elites. Critics often cite the club's calls for radical policy changes, such as carbon taxes, resource rationing, and international treaties on climate change, as evidence of an agenda that seeks to impose global regulation on every aspect of human life. 5. Conclusion. The Club of Rome is an important organization that has played a key role in raising awareness about the challenges facing humanity, including environmental degradation, resource depletion, and global inequality. Its reports, particularly Limits to Growth, have had a profound impact on the global discourse surrounding sustainability and the future of human civilization. However, the club's work has also sparked controversy and fueled conspiracy theories, with some claiming that its focus on population control, resource management, and global governance is part of a larger agenda to establish a global authoritarian regime. While these conspiracy theories are largely unfounded and based on misinterpretations of the club's objectives, They highlight the fears and anxieties that many people have about the increasing power of international organizations and the potential for global control. Whether one agrees with the Club of Rome's recommendations or not, it is clear that the organization has had a lasting impact on the global conversation about the future of our planet and the challenges we face in the 21st century.